Hi everyone, this is Yana Smakula and thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm sharing a thank you card and box set created using Spellbinders' exclusive small and large dies of the month. I'll talk more and explain what these dies of the month are all about in just a little bit. I will be moving soon for work, so I wanted to make little thank yous for the people that I've been working with for the past 18 months. So I made this thank you card and gift box for a little treat. I'm planning to make a few more of those as I want to gift several people. The dies I use to make those projects come from the Spellbinders small die of the months, that's the frames and labels, and the large die of the months, that's the gift box die itself, plus some additional embellishments such as the little leaves and flourishes. The small die of the months features 8 dies, all designed to cut and emboss beautiful labels and frames for your cards or scrapbook pages. So here I have one of the dies. This one is my favorite from this set. And you also have a smaller, simpler shape that you can use together with the large shape to cut out a frame. And all other dies in this month kit are just like this. There's a big label and a small label, and those can be used together or separately. And you can also mix and match them. I'm going to die cut a frame out of this beautiful rose gold cardstock from Tonic Studios. So I have 2 dies here, and I used a piece of low tack tape to secure them in place and make sure they won't move while I do my die cutting. I find it very helpful to tape dies in place, and I often do this especially if I'm combining several dies or cutting a stamped element out. So here's a look at this gorgeous frame, and you can see all of the detail that this die added to the paper. The detail best shows on metallic papers such as this one, but it will also look great cut out even out of regular white or colored paper. You also have the smaller shape cut out, and this one also has detail added to it, and I haven't even embossed anything yet. I already have gorgeous die cuts to play with. So let's go ahead and put these die cuts back into the die and emboss them. I'm curious to see how that's going to look. So I'm using my Platinum die cutting and embossing machine, and I'm just following the sandwich instructions for the embossing to emboss my frames. Now, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do embossing, but all Spellbinders dies, or maybe I should say most of the Spellbinders dies, have this ability to be embossed to add even more detail to them. If you do not have a Spellbinders die cutting machine, you'll need to check the manual for the particular machine that you have, and you will also need this brown embossing mat to be able to emboss with your dies. Now, another thing to keep in mind, you'll want to remove the tape holding the die cut in place when doing embossing, as you will emboss that tape onto the paper. Here, I left my tape on purpose to show you what indentation it can leave in the die cut, so just be sure to remove it prior to embossing. I've die cut a few more frames, and you can see them on my desk here, and I want to try cutting them out of this beautiful embossed paper from Tonic Studios. This paper is very thin, so I'm going to adhere it onto a piece of white cardstock. This is Nina Solar White, 110-pound cardstock. You don't have to use cardstock this thick. Thinner cardstock will do just fine. I used this particular paper because that's what I had sitting on my desk. I'm going to grab my dies and just using the large labels this time, and I'm going to go ahead and cut them out. I already moved my Platinum out of the way, as I usually keep it off to the side and do my die cutting there. And since I'm not doing anything special here, I put it back where it usually sits on my desk and out of the video frame. So here is a closer look at one of the die cuts, and this is just die cut. I didn't emboss this one. And you can see all of that beautiful, beautiful detail. And that embossed paper from Tonic makes this die cut label that much more prettier. I'm going to put it back into the die, and we'll also emboss it so that I can see what it's going to look like. And it looks fantastic, I think. So it added the embossed detail to the outside of the frame, but at the same time, it also flattened a little bit the embossed paper design. I hope it makes sense what I'm saying here. Either way, I think it looks fantastic. And I love to use little labels like this for my cards. You just add a sentiment, add a little embellishment, and your card is done. Now, the Spellbinders Small Die of the Month subscription program, or club, is just $7.50 a month plus shipping. They do have flat rate shipping in the United States, and it is just $5. So this just ends up being $12.50 a month. If you live outside the United States, the shipping cost depends on your location. Now, these dies are not available for purchase separately, so you can only buy them as a member of a club. If they don't sell out during that month, you can buy them the next month, but the price is higher. I think it's $15 plus shipping. So it pays to join the club and enjoy all of the benefits. Plus, I think as a club member, you also get extra 10% off all other Spellbinders products. Now, each month, the die designs are different. Last month, they had beautiful borders. The month before, it was a nice heart die set for Valentine's Day cards. And before that, it was a really cool snowman builder set. I'm going to use this beautiful wood grain cardstock, and this one is in color powder. It is available from Alt New. And by the way, I have links to all the supplies that I'm using today in description box below the video. I'm going to trim this paper to have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel to cover the front of my card. I love using wood grain paper like this, and I often use it in the color white. So for this card, I'm going to foam mount my rose gold die cut label onto the panel. And next, I'm going to use my Spellbinders large die of the month to die cut the box and also some additional embellishments for my card and for the box. So the frames and the labels are from the small die of the month, and Spellbinders also has a large die of the month subscription program or club, which is just that. It offers dies with larger designs. The March die features this beautiful box, and this box, by the way, fits in 6-inch wide machines. So if you have a Platinum 6 die cutting machine or any die cutting machine that has a 6-inch wide opening, you'll be able to use this die in your machine. All large die of the month dies are bigger, but they are designed so that they fit in the 6-inch wide machines. There are also some decorative elements included with the box die, and you can use those to embellish your box and also to embellish other things like the card. I've already cut some of the pieces out to save time on video, and I have the little leaves and also a swirl and a leafy branch. Now, I'm keeping things very monochromatic today, but you can definitely go bold and bright and colorful if you like. Like I mentioned, I'm making this into a thank you card. So I'm using with thanks for all you've done sentiment from W+9, and I'm stamping it in vintage sepia ink from Neko. I thought about using black ink. That's the color of ink that I usually use, but black just didn't go well with the other muted colors here. So I reached for this brown ink, and I actually was very surprised that it still worked, as I've had this ink pad for 5 years or maybe even more than that. I rarely use it, but that's what these VersaFine ink pads are great for. They last a very long time and they don't dry out even if you live in the desert. And here I am living in Phoenix where it's very hot and very dry. I used my scissors and trimmed my sentiment into a banner with fishtail ends on both sides, and I foam mounted it onto my card. And this is what I mean about having labels like this in your stash. They are so versatile. You can use labels with virtually any other products that you have. Maybe you can stamp some beautiful flowers, cut them out, and adhere partially onto the frame or the label. You can add a long sentiment like I'm doing here and embellish it with little flowers and leaves. You can also have a critter sitting on a frame. So really lots of ways that these can be used. Now, I rarely film videos about kits, but I just really wanted to film one with this kit in particular, as I think that this is such a great kit. So I used glue and foam adhesive and tape to adhere the rest of the elements in place. I also added a smaller label of that same shape onto my card. I foam mounted it in place and later added another one cut out of that embossed paper from Tonic. I just offset it slightly so that the rose gold paper was showing from behind. I also used Tonic Nouveau drops in ivory seashell to add beautiful pearl detail to the card. I think those really helped this card come to life, and they added a perfect finishing touch to my project. I've already die cut a box using my large die of the month die. I used same rose gold paper for this box, and it's actually super easy to cut and put the box together. Let me show you what you need to do. So cut it out of whatever paper you like. Here I'm using just some green cardstock from my stash. Next, fold along the score lines. There are 4 at the base of the box, and you'll need to fold those in. And there's also 2 tabs at the top, and you'll need to fold those out. Next, bring the two sides with the tabs together and press down lightly to shape the sides of the paper, so just like so. And then close the box one side at a time. You can open it up in the same way and you can add your little treat and embellish the box however you like. I used one of the tag dies that comes with the large die of the month set and die cut the tag to decorate my box out of that beautiful embossed paper from Tonic. I also die cut some additional leaves out of the rose gold paper to use together with the partial swirl and the leaf branch that I had already sitting on my desk. I stamped a little thank you message in same brown ink as before and added the leaves and swirl from behind using foam tape. My thanks comes from the older stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. It's this one here. I used tape and adhered my message cluster onto the tag and then used foam squares and adhered the tag onto the box. You can definitely tie the tag in place using some thread or twine, but I didn't want the recipient to have to remove it, so I just adhered it in place, and I did it so that it wouldn't prevent the box from being open and closed. I used same Nuvo drops to embellish the top of the box, but I also wanted to embellish the side of the box, and I didn't want to do that with the liquid drops as I knew the liquid would gravitate towards the bottom and the drop wouldn't be perfectly round. So to fix that, I created some drops on a non-stick sheet. This is the sheet from my foam squares, and I let these drops dry overnight. Once they were dry, I adhered them in place using glue the next morning. So I used both the small and large die of the months from Spellbinders to create this card and treat box. And you can subscribe to either of those if you like. The small one is $7.50 plus shipping and the large one is $20 plus shipping. You can also subscribe to both of them if you like. Spellbinders has value clubs available. So if you want to subscribe to both the small and large die of the months, the value club that you will want to join is the Die Hard. And it's just $25 per month plus shipping. So that's both the small and large dies of the month. So this finishes my video, and I hope you feel inspired to create. Thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, as always, please leave them in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet done so. If you are a subscriber but are not receiving new video notifications, check the bell icon on the homepage of my channel to get notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!